In my whole life, I've never seen this. This is a shadow on the mountain from the exhaust from that plane. That's insane. Oh yeah, I've never seen that before. Is it a sign?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I've been doing this a long time and I have never seen one of those where the black shadow actually touches the ground. But better yet, it was very heartening to see the comment section. So let's take a look at that. Here we go. So this was a random internet post that internet suggested. I don't even know who this person is, but they've got a lot of followers and they've got a lot of comments. Funny that nobody seems to remember that planes never used to create quote-unquote clouds or leave persistent trails in the sky. And the fact that people still out there who truly think those are lines or exhaust or contrails is seriously insane. And why there's still geoengineering and chemtrails being dumped on us. Yeah. People ain't believing the hype, except for the young lady that posted it. But I had to call somebody in Ireland today and speak with them because they somehow found a video that I made in 2017 or 2018, one of the two, and I found all the patents and all the research for spraying barium, strontium, aluminum into the sky so that 3D holograms could be projected on them. Anna, the woman that runs my Richie from Boston fan page, or the girl that started the Richie from Boston fan page, and my moderator, she literally found this. So listen to this and look at what I'm showing you, because this is all documented. This is all documented. It isn't to block out the sun only. It's doing so very many things. It's crazy. Doesn't that look like the shadow we just saw in that video right there? Isn't that weird? Whatever. Watch this. So I just hung up the phone. I was talking to a very, very good friend of mine in Ireland, and her name's Anna. She's one of my moderators, and she found this video that I have no idea how she found this video that I made 7 years ago, but she did. And it'll prove exactly what I'm talking about. And it is 10 minutes of one. I'm in West Plains, Missouri, and they are spraying the sky. They're spraying the sky like they want you to notice. You know what I mean? But nobody does whatsoever at all. But here's the fun part. This right here is going to help them do their alien invasion. And Americans will go for aliens because aliens are easy. We've seen them on TV. We can deal with them. But if they knew they were interstellar demons, interdimensional demons, well, that's a whole different thing. Aliens, no judgment, no God. Interdimensional demons, judgment day. Stand before God. Answer for your life. Answer for ignoring what was inconvenient to deal with. How apropos. The vultures are circling. Unbelievable sun, and I'm trying to finish reviewing this 300-watt solar panel that has ideal sun, but for some reason it won't kick on my solar controller. So is what it is. Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 17th of November. It's 2019, and it's early. I've had a couple of cups of coffee. It's almost 10 a.m. Sunday morning, and it's freezing out. And I need to go out, lay out in my driveway, and finish working on my truck. But I can't do that because I need to make this video first. One of my subscribers sent me a picture that her son took, and it is a crazy picture, and I'm going to show it to you. But before I show it to you, let me show you this. If you follow this channel, you know that I yammer about this all the time because it's a big deal. It really is a completely, unbelievably, massively big deal that most people don't really seem to care about. Oh, it's winter, Richie. It's supposed to be freezing out. Well, actually, winter doesn't start till December 21st. And traditionally, in November, the Atlantic Ocean isn't freezing over. It isn't showing ice. And yet it is, because they're cooling off the planet. These are the guys cooling off the planet. But not only are they spraying the skies, it's multifaceted. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll show you. This stuff that they spray in the sky every single solitary day, whether you see it or not. It's Sunday. Every single Sunday, it is completely gray out. Today is overcast. No rain, no snow, no precipitation, just overcast. So we have no sun. This solar shield that they're spraying right in front of you, that they've told you that they're spraying, they're not completely out with it. They're not telling you straight up that they've been spraying for decades. They're just telling you they're doing it to save everyone from global warming. Well, not only is this bringing down the temperatures and messing with the weather worldwide significantly, it also does other things. You see that little fella going by right there? Yeah. It also does other things, like this. I've put this thread out numerous times, and this is an old thread from March 1998. 3D holographic display using strontium, barium, niobate. Now, this is a research paper from a website called ResearchGate, where you can download the entire text yourself. But what's the point? You see all this? All they're saying is if you do this to the sky, if you spray the atmosphere with all this stuff up there, you see the sun back there not moving, and then the clouds are moving. It's like a movie screen, literally. And on that movie screen, they could use all sorts of either above or below technology to put holograms on there. And it's old technology. For instance, you see this fella right here rapping on stage? Well, he's dead, and he's been dead. This is from 2016, and this is a hologram. That's an actual hologram of Tupac Shakur. Tupac is dead. It's a low-quality video right here because it's probably on somebody's cell phone, but it looks exactly like a real person. Again, old technology. Do you see what I mean? And all they're using is a little bit of smoke on stage. Well, think about this. And then read this. Holographic displays, image storage, blah, 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 blah. But it explains in detail forever how much spraying the atmosphere like this, they could put a complete holographic material up. They could put so many different things, and people have seen it. We first used this in Iraq, Operation Desert Saber, Shield, and Storm. The first time around, when George Poppy Bush was president. And people in Iraq were claiming that they were seeing and hearing from Allah. Chemtrails were used for this exact psychological operation, which is why you can find all the paperwork from way back then. This is old technology. I can't stress this enough. Do you see what I mean? They're spraying the sky and affecting the weather so bad that they came out in 2017. I say this all the time, and nobody seems to understand it. This is the most important subject anyone should ever be talking about, absolutely ever. They're messing with the temperature on the planet, which will kill everything. This planet was a fragile ecosystem that was set up perfectly, and they're messing it up in every possible way, and people don't seem to care. People are actually making excuses. It's winter. No, actually it isn't. At any rate, one of my subscribers sent me this, and you need to be aware of this, and you need to be on the lookout for this. Emailing me and telling me you got pictures and not sending pictures, that doesn't do anything, so don't do it. If you've got solid information, rjcjr10@yahoo.com. You see this picture? This is a FedEx station. Do you see that sky? That sky looks really familiar, doesn't it? Really familiar. Look at that. Look at that. But do you notice anything really, really, really strange right there? So don't I. That is not a normal cloud anomaly. That is some sort of a cube. Can you see this? Perfect razor sharp edges. That is definitely, without a doubt, a cube of some sort, and it appears like the bottom of an... I don't know. But whatever that is not normal whatsoever at all. And this woman has not been trying to get on. She's not trying to get her 15 minutes of fame or whatever. Her son took this picture. That is crazy. That is totally, totally crazy. That is not nothing. Those are perfectly square right angles. And it actually looks like some sort of lettering right there. Is this a cube? I don't know, but people have talked about this over the years. I've never actually seen one. I've seen some crazy stuff, but nothing like that. So, again, beware, be aware, be on the lookout. If you see stuff like this, send it, or don't. Richie from Boston. I thought it was interesting. I told you last night that I would cover it again. I'm out. That looks creepy, doesn't it? That's my butler from Peabody's mom. I'm out. So that's crazy. I was typing it in incorrectly. You had to look for holographs with barium, strontium, and niobate or aluminum, because it all plays into the mixture. These guys are no joke, man. This is no joke. This is exactly what they're doing, and I'm literally watching them doing it every single solitary day. And the list goes on and on and on. I'm so glad that I found this again, because I was typing it incorrectly. But it goes on and on. But if you go to anybody like physics.University of Arkansas, you get a 404, because some people are trying to cover their tracks because they didn't really want this out. But this is a thing. This is how they do it. This is why they do it. One of the many reasons, but this is the main reason, which is why I've explained so many times, knowing the correct biblical cosmology of the earth, none of this can work on you, because you know that there's nothing coming from outer space. It's coming from another dimension. Why is CERN up and running, but NASA doesn't do anything anymore? You see what I'm saying?
Researchers at the Universidad Pública de Navarra have created something that feels almost like science fiction, a 3D display you can actually reach into with your bare hands. Called FlexiVol, this system lets users interact directly with virtual content floating in space, no headsets, gloves, or controllers required. It marks a shift in how we might engage with digital environments, offering a more hands-on, natural experience. FlexiVol builds on the principle of swept volumetric displays, which project 2D slices onto a moving diffuser to form a 3D image. These images are created through persistence of vision. Conventional systems use a rigid diffuser that prevents physical interaction. FlexiVol replaces this component with a set of elastic strips, allowing users to insert their hands into the display volume and interact with rendered objects. The system uses a projector and oscillating diffuser strips to form the 3D image. The projector outputs slices at high frame rates, synchronized with the movement of the diffuser. The elastic diffuser enables direct physical interaction without damaging the display or harming the user. The researchers tested several materials for use as the diffuser. These included elastane, silicone, and projection fabrics. They evaluated each based on optical performance, stiffness, frequency response, and deformation. Elastic bands composed of polyester and elastane were selected due to their performance across all tests. To address visual distortion caused by the movement of the elastic diffuser, the team developed a correction algorithm. This model predicts the shape of the diffuser at any point during oscillation and adjusts the projected image accordingly. A polynomial function is applied to correct mesh vertices, preserving the integrity of the 3D content. FlexiVol allows users to reach through the diffuser to manipulate 3D content. Interactions occur when users touch or pass between diffuser strips. The system supports gestures such as grasping, pinching, pushing, rotating, and sliding. These gestures map to actions like selection, scaling, movement, and tracing. The system does not use abstract metaphors or indirect control schemes. The alignment between hand position and rendered objects allows for interactions that follow physical movement patterns. A study with 18 participants compared FlexiVol with a 3D mouse. Participants completed 3 tasks: selection, tracing, and docking. The study measured completion time, positional accuracy, and perceived workload. Reach-through interaction resulted in faster completion times and reduced cognitive workload. Accuracy was slightly reduced compared to the 3D mouse. Most participants preferred using their hands. Several noted that interaction felt more familiar and did not require explanation. Participants also reported that inserting their hands into the display felt safe and comfortable. Some described sensations from the oscillating diffuser. A few expressed interest in expanded gesture options, such as using both hands or more complex motions. FlexiVol could be used in modeling, visualization, education, games, and medical training. Participants suggested potential uses such as surgery planning, collaborative design, and digital content manipulation. The display system also produces less noise than conventional setups using rigid components.
So they've got their technology all in place. They've got the holographs that you can actually see and taste and interact with, etc. And every day, this is just from today, they are just loading up the sky. And at the end of the day, they dump a lot of lithium in the sky. So if you're feeling a little sleepy, that's what those red clouds at night mean. But this has been going on for a long time, and I hate to bring this up, but remember this? Yeah, reptiles have a very high tolerance to heavy metals for some reason. Now, let me remind you of something that somebody said recently.
A lot of people think that Geordie Rose is the inventor of the D-Wave. Geordie Rose is the money man behind D-Wave. This guy, for the most part, is one of the brainchilds.
You may have heard this word quantum computing. It's often, people have the misconception that it's some kind of newfangled supercomputer. It's decidedly not that. Quantum computers allow us to access hidden features of nature, new dimensions.
Now, over the years, I've explained this ad nauseum, but you can watch D-Wave's own example. They send a question into the D-Wave, and instead of a traditional computer where it goes to databases, large language models, the quantum processor simply sends it out into the ether, solves the problem, and gives it back to you. That's what a hidden feature or dimension means. They're not messing around. They've told you every which way there possibly is to tell you. These boys are talking to interdimensional demons because they aren't angels, and they're getting technology to enslave us as they are.
Dimensions. And if we can access these sort of hidden dimensions at scale, we could have unimaginable computing power.
Okay, so we've all heard that ad nauseum. These guys are not shy about it. They are straight up telling us they're pulling other dimensional beings and information from these beings, the all-seeing gods, whatever you want to call them, and they're bringing them back to our planet. How about that? Now, here's Geordie Rose in July talking in Vancouver, British Columbia, to a bunch of computer programming students, and he's trying to encourage them to come work for D-Wave. Now, Kindred, the first place you ever heard about Kindred on the internet was on this channel right here. I was talking about Kindred before anyone even knew what it was. Okay, if you guys remember, several months ago, I put out a video where the people at Kindred, which is the creator of the D-Wave, the finance guy behind the D-Wave quantum computer, Geordie Rose, he started a website, and I put it up. I'm going to say I was the first one to put it up. And when we put the website link up, there was nothing on it. It was.
Now, bear with me, because I'm showing you a video I did in 2019 and then a video I did in 2016, but it's all going to tie together to present day. So bear with me. This tsunami of demons isn't coming. It's arriving. It's already here. And I think I've got the proof.
Okay, so you see that. I put this up a long time ago, and now this plays. Now, real quick, let me show you somebody. These are drawings done by a writer called H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft is a very strange person whose both of his parents ended up committed. This guy admittedly had night terrors, and he wrote, quote unquote, science fiction. Parents were committed. He wanted to be a professional astronomer, but never finished high schools. He was best buddies with Harry Houdini, another person who was deeply steeped in the occult. He wrote 100,000 letters in his lifetime, didn't like sex. He suffered night terrors. He inspired Batman, Black Sabbath, South Park, and more. He's not buried under his headstone. And Kulu is one of the drawings I was just showing you. Now, why am I talking about H.P. Lovecraft? Well, because I'm not the only one talking about H.P. Lovecraft. I knew there would be something about the occult. Now, listen to this. Here's a video I put up about 1.5 years ago, and it clearly shows CERN alluding to the Mandela effect. These guys were basically flaunting, or they were playing along, basically telling us that they were behind the Mandela effect. Now, why am I showing you H.P. Lovecraft? Why am I talking about the Mandela effect? Okay, here we go. Here's Geordie Rose in his own words explaining that what they're pulling through from other dimensions, it wouldn't be accurate to call them demons because demons doesn't quite sum it up. In this video right here, you're going to hear Geordie Rose in his own words explain that they have opened a literal tsunami and that mankind is not going to be ready for this. Here's Geordie in July talking about the Mandela effect, the quantum key to the pit, and the rumors that CERN and D-Wave are behind the Mandela effect. In his own words.
And ironically, my co-host on my YouTube channel, Anthony Patch, is on the wall behind Geordie Rose as he's talking because he's trying to discount the pesky rumors that we started between CERN, D-Wave, quantum computers, H.P. Lovecraft, the great old ones, etc. Stay with me because I'm going to show you the great old ones today that people are actually catching from airplanes on cameras. Great old ones are demons. These are not of God. These are demons, straight up. So stick with me.
Words.
Over the years there, I got sent pajamas, a whole bunch of stuff. There's lots of interesting things that happen when you build something like a quantum computer. But just as an aside, because I thought it was funny, one of the interesting things that's happened from the D-Wave story is there's this gigantic conspiracy that's arisen on the internet that goes like this. So D-Wave build quantum computers. The way that they work, if you know how this works, is one of the interpretations is that you tap into these parallel universes and they do computations. Sounds really weird, but
notice that he tries to ridicule his own words. It sounds really weird. They tap into other dimensions, but he's clearly showing Anthony Patch, and he just basically glosses over the whole thing. But this is going to get much, much more serious. Now, and I also am playing this at a faster speed to avoid a copyright strike. So there's that.
What's happened is this idea has been hijacked to describe something called the Mandela effect, which is this thing where the past changes. So think about something you know to be true from the past. And then imagine you went out on the internet and you can't find it at all. It's not there. It doesn't match with your experience. So these people think that D-Wave is responsible, and CERN. And of course, the quantum key to the abyss factors into it somehow. I'm not exactly sure how. Okay, so that's just D-Wave. I did that for about 15 years.
In this video, he's saying that he's basically done with D-Wave and he's working with Kindred, and they're going to make AI robots that can do every single solitary thing a human can do, but better. Now, notice the symbolism on his shirt, because these guys are loaded with it, because everything that they're doing is on the occult level, which is why they surround themselves with symbolism at all time. They have to. It's part of the deal. You see what I'm saying? It's all coincidental, but these guys are constantly and always wearing the symbolism. But I digress.
What you've heard about AI is not what we mean by AI. What we mean by AI is a software system that can do literally anything that a human can do. Literally anything. And obviously, computers are better at things than people in lots of different ways. So now imagine, not only can they do everything that a human can do, but they can do everything that the best human at any task could do better than them. So imagine there was the mental Olympics of the 100-meter dash, and Usain Bolt is the fastest person. Now imagine that's some kind of a mental thing, like writing a novel or writing whatever. Imagine now that the thing is so much faster than Usain Bolt, like for example, it's a spaceship. Yeah. It's still doing the same thing, but it's doing it so much better because we're limited, because we're people. So what Kindred is trying to do is solve this problem. How do you build machines that are better than people at everything? Now there's a mental block that we have here when we think about this. Because when you think about that, one of your questions might be, for example, what are the applications of this? So imagine this. Imagine for $10, let's say, I could build a machine, like a little robot that had fingers and eyes and all that, and it could do your job better than you, no matter what it is, and I could sell that to your employer for, say, $15 and make a profit, instead of having to pay you $100,000 a year.
What I find funny is 10 years ago when I made this video explaining all this and warning people about his company, Jordy had already stepped down from D-Wave because it was done. Time to move on to the next venture, which was making AI robots that were indistinguishable from human beings. His exact wording, and I made a big deal out of that at the time. But at the time, I was a crazy conspiracy theorist. Well, isn't that weird, huh? AI replacing people's jobs, making AI so you don't have to pay someone $100,000 a year? What a weird thing, huh? What an idiot I was 10 years ago. Because we're living it right now, for those that don't get the sarcasm. But back to Jordy. And the tsunami of demons that's now here.
There's a reason that this was put in the Bible. There's just no two ways about it. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Now stay tuned, because Jordy is going to straight say this. And he also says the same thing that I say all the time. This is going on in the background, whether you know it or not. He also alludes to the fact that everyone's worried about the healthcare plan and sports and television and the news and politics while this continues to march on in the background. I've listened to this exact interview with Jordy, or this presentation with Jordy. I've listened to it at least 15 times since yesterday.
Now imagine that was true for every single job. So that's what we're talking about here, is a complete and utter transformative change that of the likes of which has never been seen before in the history of humanity, making the Industrial Revolution look like a little tiny blip on the path that humans have taken from when we emerged from the ooze a few billion years ago. We are right on the verge of that transition now. So this guy, Rich Sutton, is one of the most famous people in the academic world of AI.
Now listen. This guy is the guy behind the D-Wave quantum computer, the only quantum computer in the world that is accessing other dimensions, according to what they are telling us. He is telling us that we are on the verge right now. So pay attention, because what he is going to say should shape your entire future.
And like many, when asked, when will this happen, he says things like this. 25% chance within 13 years of this thing that I'm talking about. You know, when you think about what you read on the news, you know, CNN, BuzzFeed, whatever, they're all kind of the same nowadays. Think about how unimportant that thing is that you're reading if this is true. Yeah? So what does this have to do with aliens? So Sam Harris, who I quite admire, is a very interesting guy, was reciting this parable at a TED Talk that he was giving, and it goes something like this. So, say I'm the President of the United States. So I receive this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish, finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years, or 13 years, we're coming to your planet. You gotta be ready. Now just imagine what would happen if that happened. A super intelligent alien race beamed down a message to all of us Earthlings saying, we're coming July 13th, 2030, and boy, you better be ready because the mothership is landing right on the front lawn of the White House or wherever you wanted to land on that day. the amount of resources that would be marshaled to try to figure out what to do would encompass the whole world. AI is just like that. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. So alien means, different. These things that we're building are not going to be people. They might be really smart, they might be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be aliens. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room.
Now pay attention, because he's literally disclosing right this moment
that we can't even comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who says things like this, like, when you do this, beware. Because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of you are turn-of-the-century weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
So many of you have seen those videos before, and the reason I'm putting the date on there is so you can differentiate from what I said 10 years ago to what I'm saying now. And I'm not the only one saying it. Regular AI, regular computing channels are actually starting to figure certain things out. Like, why are these guys completely obsessed with Lovecraft, the great old ones, and Cthulhu, which is not something you want to have around the house? Cthulhu's a bad dude. You see what I'm saying? H.P. Lovecraft's, both of his parents were committed because they lost their minds. He had night terrors. He wasn't buried under his headstone. Where is he? He's probably in a deep underground military base, still alive or being kept alive with some sort of AI technology of some sort. But look at what this regular mainstream channel has to say about the use of monsters, specifically Cthulhu, which is terrifying. And I'm still going to get to where you can actually see this tsunami of demons in the sky flying right now. This is real.
Something strange is happening. AI scientists are so worried they're making a monster, they chose a literal Lovecraftian creature as the meme to represent AI. Since 2023, the Shoggoth has been everywhere, from Times Square to the Wall Street Journal to the New York Times, which called it the most important meme in AI. It's why we chose it as the icon for this channel. That some AI insiders refer to their creations as Lovecraftian horrors, even as a joke, is unusual by historical standards.
What they're doing is showing you truth in plain sight. Signs and symbols rule the world, and that is still as true today as it was when Confucius originally said it. But when regular straight-laced dudes like this are discovering and noticing that all of these guys are literally paying homage to this. Some AI insiders refer to their creations as Lovecraftian horrors, even as a joke, is unusual by historic standards. Do you see what I'm saying? The truth in plain sight. These guys are literally facilitating or have facilitated the rise or entry of the great old ones into our realm. In Minutes of Horror, caught it, and I'm going to use it right now so you can see this. This is insane.
Is possibly the clearest image of these black flying things we have ever seen. These black flying things we have been seeing in the sky since the April 8th solar eclipse, and this individual, UAP Luigi, says, I was taking my flight from Munich to Hamburg this morning at 7 a.m. and saw two objects which I thought were black birds in the beginning, but then they were moving in a strange way. Then I did these pictures and was shocked. The stewardess was shocked as well and brought me to the captain, which was also confused. Can anybody explain this? This is so scary. And yes, this is what we have been seeing with them. They do move in a very strange way, but look at it. I can't really explain it. And I really feel like those octopus kites were designed after these things to give an excuse. The only really thing you can say they look like outside of those octopus kites are what we are shown in movies like Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, what's another one? Harry Potter, The Dementors. And they even look like those black things in that movie Ghost that took the bad people away. But what's eerie is that this person saw them too. They commented on this post with their photos, this individual Andrew Porter, and he goes on to say, saw this object changing shapes, moving and stopping out the window on my flight out of Norfolk, Virginia to Minneapolis. Look at this one. It looks like it has arms stretching out, and this is what reminds me of those black spirits from that movie Ghost. Somebody had linked this article that goes back to February 22nd, 2024. It says mysterious alien object seen flying in Central California, and this was actually shown on the news. But what I find interesting is what they say right here. Observers have been quick to draw comparisons to the tentacle-like appendages seen in science fiction films like Arrival and War of the Worlds. Why I find that to be interesting, on one of my most recent videos on Seconds of Horror, I said just that. I used Arrival as an example when it came to Steven Spielberg's movie. This is what I said. I want to go ahead and talk about as well. It has to do with Steven Spielberg's latest movie called Disclosure Day a few days ago. The trailer came out and supposedly it has to do about aliens and UFOs. Now, it would seem like birds play an important role in this movie. In a couple scenes we're shown birds, but also in the poster we're shown a bird and the one-eyed symbolism inside a bird. One of the main characters becomes possessed and she starts to make this noise, which many people believe may be the sound of the alien.
Let's today is today's
And I find it very odd because, and it really goes to show who's giving these people these scripts, because there was another movie back in 2016 called Arrival, and it had to do about quote-unquote aliens. But the noise the woman is making in Steven Spielberg's movie sounds very similar to the noise that these aliens in this movie are making, a clicking sound. What's also even more interesting is that the bird also played an important role in this movie as well, because it was used to test atmospheric conditions, but also the sensitivity of language between nature and the alien communication, and it was also used as a foreshadow. What I also found interesting about the movie Arrival is that from time to time we would always see these black rings, these black smoke rings popping up in certain locations, and they would be on the news. And the thing is, they would try to say, oh, that's just exhaust from a truck or a transformer had blown. They would never show or track the source. It was always just a theory. But if it was just that, why would they always show it on the news? And these black rings are very similar. Matter of fact, they look exactly like these black rings that are shown in the movie. And these black rings are the communication used by these quote-unquote aliens. So again, it's very telling where these directors are getting this information from, because this is just way too similar. And yes, what was shown by Steven Spielberg was just a trailer, but even so, just looking at the trailer by itself and then going back to the movie The Arrival, you would think that trailer was for the sequel to the movie The Arrival. This is just more conditioning people about aliens, getting people used to the idea of aliens, they exist, their arrival. perhaps even getting people used to the idea that people that are among us, like I said in my other video, 1 billion plus people are not even real people. They're probably something else altogether. Think reptiles and things like that. And talking about Project Bluebeam, these are the things also we will be seeing during Project Bluebeam, what's going to kick everything off by 2030, this whole one world agenda. These creatures, they are not fake. The lie happens to be that they are aliens from another planet, planet 33, that's 33,000 light years away. That's the lie. These are things that have always been here, entities. I do want to go ahead and pause right here because this is concept art from the movie Arrival. You can find it on their website. And this eerily reminds me of this photo right here this individual had taken on his plane. Things crossing over from CERN, fallen ones, what they have been creating and working with in these deep underground military bases. These are the things that will be released. I just find it so weird that article references the movie Arrival when referencing these things. And again, it's just so obvious that Hollywood is giving us the truth in plain sight in these movies. And of course, in that video, when I say aliens, I say quote unquote aliens because these are not things coming from another planet. They're either interdimensional crossed over from something CERN had done, or the veil is thinning, or these things have always been here and they're making themselves more known. I don't know, but they are being seen more and more. And it seems like they are being either chased by helicopters or being guided by helicopters lately.
People need to understand this stuff is very real. I've been documenting this for 15 plus years, and all of it is coming to fruition right now. These guys are in the occult. They use sex, magic, which requires children. And they're doing this to appease these demonic things that are being seen all over the sky. I find it ironic that it started showing up on April 8th, right where I am right now when I came out here to literally film the eclipse. The eclipse that didn't actually have a moon involved. Remember that? Because that really happened. And if you recall, I kept my mouth shut about it until other channels that were just regular astronomers were like, there doesn't seem to be a moon. And then 4 days prior to the eclipse, we discover that NASA claims they have a spacecraft that can cause an eclipse any time of the day. So that'll be helpful during Project Bluebeam. But these monsters are exactly what I was talking about 10 years ago. It's exactly what Geordie Rose was talking about. And apparently it's all the AI guys are talking about. Are you catching on to what's going on? Because you only get so many warnings till it's here. So how did we go all the way from chemtrails, 3D holograms you can touch, to D-Wave, quantum computers, Geordie Rose, AI that's indistinguishable from humans, chemtrails, to Cthulhu? Because it all plays together. We're going to see demonic things in the sky that we're going to think are, regular people will think are aliens. We're going to see classified technology we've never seen before. We're going to see holographic technology. It is going to be unbelievable, which is why they have to chemtrail, which is why you have to believe in NASA, and which is why they're doing everything that they're doing. Again, NASA does nothing while CERN just keeps cranking along. And CERN's not the only Large Hadron Collider on Earth. I've told you that a dozen times. I've actually listed them all. These guys have broken or are breaking through the veil, and things are showing up in the skies and have been since last year. At any rate, stay in prayer. Pray as often as you can think to do so. Stay in prayer. Prayer as often as you can think to do so. Yes, I said that twice. Because these things are absolutely real, and people are so distracted with Epstein and Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk's wife and what Donald Trump says. We are in the midst of the New World Order rising right now, which is why Israel is being allowed to completely genocide an entire population of Semitic people. Those people are serving as the blood sacrifice, because to bring the New World Order, the great old ones, everything all together, you have to have a massive, massive, massive sacrifice. I told you when Israel started, that's what it was, and I'm telling you now. These things are starting to show themselves. Richie from Boston, get your money out of the bank, because they're going to take it. If you had listened to me last year, you would have doubled your money by now. Something you're not going to do in the bank in a 401 or a 401k or an IRA. At any rate, links will be below. Richie from Boston. 2025 is almost over, and I'm almost out.